Hey there, thanks for checking out the channel today. A couple of years ago, I did an adjustment on my Technics, or Techniques, as we really should be calling it apparently, SA-202 from, I believe it's 1980, where the FM reception wasn't working right. It was not detecting, and the LED wasn't going on, and in fact, it wasn't playing in stereo. I got that fixed. We have that adjustment under the Jack Fixes Things on this channel. But now I decided after that many years, it really is time to recap the power supply, change out the two power supply capacitors on this unit, and they came from right there. I can zoom in on the board, on the circuit board. You'll notice next to these there is an attachment here for wire, and they use these back in the day, and maybe they still do. They use these connect points here. I'm pointing to it. It's kind of like a post with, and they just wrap the wires around like a spring, and they just kind of latch on, and then they put maybe a drop of solder on them, and that's really kind of asking for trouble over the years. In any case, just to get in here between these two capacitors, I had to move these things off, and then in the process, one of the ends of the wires came undone. Long story short, I would have had to wrap it all around there. So what I decided to do is just recoil it, put it back on the post. I put a piece of shrink wrap, you can see on there. I slid a piece on. I wrapped them around, and I put a few drops of solder on there just to make sure it was tight. And then I slid the shrink wrap down on it and just heated it up a little bit. And that was just my way of maybe preventing a future bad connection. I did check this one as well and made sure that solder was okay. There are a few others on the board, but not many. I just didn't like the way that was connecting, especially since it's coming right off the power transformer. So anyway, just a sidebar on that. And right now I'm getting ready to install the new capacitors. I did have to send out for these JCON capacitors. I was able to get the right voltage. These were originally, I believe, 45 volts at 6800 UF. So I just went with 63 volts because that was the closest, and also physically closest to the size. It's just not that much fatter than the original, so they fit side by side on the board. Had I gone any higher, they would have been too fat to fit next to each other, and also they would have bumped into this connection here. So anyway, that was my way around that, and I'm just getting ready to solder these onto the board, and I'll have to flip it over, and the solder joints are on the other side. But I just thought I'd point this out. Otherwise, the inside of this thing is really clean. I just blew it out with some dust off. Really everything else was pretty tight. I checked everything. No other issues on it. So my feeling is if there's no issue with some of the smaller capacitors, there's no indication of any heat issues with any resistors, why tear into it, right? What I did do about a year ago is I did go in and replace the bulbs in here. They're little neon glass bulbs that solder onto the circuit board. So I had to pull this board out. It's not a big deal, a couple screws on each end. I did cut the wires. It was just easier to work on it if I could pull it completely out. And then when I resoldered them, I put some heat shrink around them. But now it lights up and looks great. Just looks like it's brand new. The rest of it's in really good shape. I've had it since it was new. I bought it originally in 1980. So I'm going to go ahead now and replace these caps and fire it up. Now, being a righty, don't ask me why I switch this around like this, but this is where we're at. I'm just going to slightly desolder this on my left hand. You can see that coming. You can see the solder starting to get loose. I do that peg, do the lower peg, rock it out a little bit, go back to the other peg, to the lower peg, to the upper peg, back and forth, and just do that until I can pull it out. And here it is. So that's pretty much it. It really doesn't take that much work. I'm going to clean up those solder points there in a minute, and then I'm going to put the new ones in on the other side once I've cleaned up those the holes there in the circuit board. You'll see on this circuit board there's a negative mark right on that side. You can see a little minus mark there for this connection. so that you get the right terminal on the right side. And then the originals, as you can see, were marked with a negative on that terminal, and so are the new ones. That's a minus sign, by the way. So there it is, the first one plugged into the board with the minus to the minus marked terminal, and I'm going to flip it over and solder in the leads. So right here you can see the leads where they're poking through on the circuit board trace, and here's the other pair here for the one that I have not put in yet. I'm just going to set this up and make sure that's soldered on. I did clean out these connections when I pulled the other capacitors out, just so I could kind of desolder them and get them ready. You never want to really over solder them, but you want to make sure they're good, clean solder connections, and not what they call a cold solder joint, where it's just barely hanging on and you didn't fully melt the solder and it hasn't actually connected with the circuit trace. So you want to be really careful of that. Okay, so I've got the receiver flipped over, and again, these are the two terminals we're going to solder. The other capacitor is going to go down here. I have to hold it in with one hand, so I'm not a lefty, but I'm going to just basically tack. I guess I'm just going to just gently just make sure that this is, we got some solder on these terminals already, and they've already been tinned, and I'm going to go back and check those, but that's enough to hold it in place until I can get it soldered enough. And this is a pretty low wattage, blow it off a little bit, soldering iron, and that should do it. I'll reach around the back and just make sure it's snug, and it is good and tight. Looks clean. Good connection, looks like, from here. And I'm going to pop in the other capacitor and do the same thing. On these capacitors, again, they're noted on the circuit board which tab is minus and which tab is plus. You really have to follow that. In this case, it's negative, positive, because they're in series. So you want to really be sure that you look at the circuit board and make sure that you're following directions in terms of where the negative terminal goes. Sometimes they're not in line like this. Sometimes they're spaced out differently, and they may not be. It may not be as intuitive when you look at it. So make sure you check that out. So I pop that in on the back. I'm just going to reach back here, snug it up, and just hit that. Hopefully, a little bit, just to just so that's held in place. And then I'll go ahead and solder each terminal, making sure that I've got a really good connection on there. Go back to this one. Now that there's some solder on there, it'll physically hold it in place. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want to heat it up too much. This soldering iron is a 20-watt Weller soldering iron. It's nothing big, and it shouldn't be. If we're soldering on circuit boards, you don't want to have, you don't want to take a Weller soldering gun at it or something that's like, high wattage, because you don't want to melt these traces or hurt other components or the component you're working on. So that looks pretty good to me. It's cooled off now, and I'm going to check it and make sure. Yep, that's solid. So we should be good to go. I probably should have mentioned on this that I'm using rosin core solder, pretty thin solder here, just because it's it's going on a circuit board, so you don't want something really thick. But it's also rosin core for electronics versus silver. There is a difference. Hey, real quick, I've got the bottom on. The main screws are here, right around the outside. But I wanted to point out something. A lot of times on these receivers, there are another few screws that go on that hold the bottom on, and it's really kind of just deceiving, because if you pull these things out and then you look back later, it's like, uh-oh, which one of these is actually a screw hole and which one isn't? And sometimes it's not all that obvious. You'd think you could just look in here and see threads, but without a lot of light, any of these look like a screw hole. So what I've started doing is I just put a little Sharpie mark right there on the ones, so I know I can go back and find the places where the screws go. So I'll just put those last four in, and we'll be set to go. And I put the top on next. Okay, so the tops on these slide in. There's a little mortise there that they go in, and it's not, made, like a piece of fine furniture, but it goes in pretty well. You just have to be careful when you're sliding them in. Get it in place, kind of got to tap it a little bit to get it in there. There we go. And that's in place. And then the screen goes on top and attaches to the rear. So that'll do the same thing. It just slides in. There's a little tongue and groove here where the screen fits into the wood. And then there's some screws in the back, and I'll just pop those in and we'll be done. Okay, here we have the Technics sitting on top of the Pioneer receiver. It's not the normal place, but I just wanted to set it up this way so you could see it when we turn it on. I don't normally run them stacked like this. That's not a good idea because it blocks the heat from escaping the top of the Pioneer in this case. Anyway, we're here ready to turn it on, and I just have a set of advents hooked up on the right-hand side that you can't see, so I can make sure that the output works and everything's good to go. All right. All good. I didn't expect any problems, and I didn't get any. We put a good pair of capacitors in there. It went in fairly easy. These receivers are fairly easy to work on, so we got away with it. So we're ready to go, and that should not be another problem for another 30 years, hopefully. All right, thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe if you like what you're seeing on the channel. Not so much the fix-it stuff. I know that's pretty small compared to a lot of the channels out there, but I do put up, vinyl videos all the time. I'd appreciate the like and subscribe. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.